Yeah. Check. Yeah, there we go. That was weird. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Let's pretend. Let's start over again. We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Sharon D.A.K. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for telling me about my mic right away so we can bounce back quickly and talk about this episode. Let me see. Can't hear. Hey, guys. Pop in and say hi. I'm not... Oh, okay. Well, Mitchell, maybe we'll talk about it next time. Still... What do you mean, still nothing? Hey, what do you...
No. They're good. They're good now. They can hear us. Yeah.
Well, maybe we could set up some watch parties, Mitchell, so we can watch it together later or something like that. Right? I mean, I guess... We'll make more. I'm not promising you guys that we'll be going live after each of these episodes in the future. So, I mean, at least after the episode, because this is very late for us. And the reason why we wanted to do this is to kind of get ahead of, The Last of Pods, which is the official podcast. And second of all, which, of course, is going to have way more information than us, because they're on the inside track. However, what they don't have is you. Which is you telling us about your thoughts, feelings, having some of you played the games, have some of you playing beyond the first game. So, okay, Thomas, could we shut Dave's microphone off again? Yeah. But then who'll lead this podcast? Bridget right now.
Me! Viva la revolution!
Hey, Brian. Oh, okay.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
You. Oh, you made a Last of Us Facebook group? Well, hey. I'll post the link to that group in the blog once that comes out. So you just let me know what it is, Brian, when you get a chance. You can post the link here, too. And, we could fish it out in the chat later. But, yeah, so, again, I can't promise that we'll be on live again this late, right after the episode, but I wanted to get the jump on everything so that we could get this party started, right? And, of course, as things go, we tried to go live initially to all channels, but we had a little technical difficulty. Obviously, if you're watching this now, you're watching it on a new link on Facebook and YouTube, etc. But hey, listen, if you want to get on a recording session in the future, again, we may not go live. We may not. But if the only place you're going to really find out when we go live is on our support channels, ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. Just follow us. You don't have to buy us a coffee. But you could on the stream, and your message will show up forever. Actually, there's a new feature that will, if you do give us a coffee during the stream, there's a little text-to-speech thing on top of a little banner going up the screen with your message and everything. So your message and your computerized voice will be there on this video forever. So there's that. But hey, just follow us, and you'll know when we record next. And we were gonna go live anyway, so we didn't need to do it this time around, but we did post it on social media, unlike when we normally record. So I'm eager to see what you guys think of this episode. I don't exactly know where to start. This episode was insane. It says Walking Dead Eternal. How long do you think the series is going to run for? Actually, I heard that it's going to be 8 episodes, if not mistaken.
9
episodes.
9 episodes for season 1, and I don't know that they're booked for a season 2 yet.
I see. Right.
Do you think it's gonna, this first season is gonna cover the whole game, or do you think they're gonna spread it out?
That's a very good question. Well, Bridget was saying something before we got on, and that was, why don't you say it, Bridget? Because you were saying that you were playing the game to try to catch up.
Let me preface all of this, right? Nobody come for me, okay? Nobody come for me.
I'm giving it to you.
Okay, so I do play video games, okay? I grew up playing video games, but I grew up playing Nintendo and Super Nintendo and N64. And so your girl is not great at non-Nintendo systems. Have never been. I had an Xbox 360 back in the day. I have a PS4 and a PS3 now, and I'm not super great at the moving the camera angle while playing. I'm horrible at it. I will be the first to admit it. I'm an embarrassment to anyone who plays games. So,
Wow.
I tried playing Last of Us, like within the last 2 years, and I wanted to really get into it because I knew what it was about, and I love zombie content, and I was just saying earlier I love anything dystopian. I'm probably in for, and I tried, and I was so bad at it that I quit, because that's the kind of person I am. If I'm not instantly good at something, I immediately stop doing it. You can talk to my mom about it, because she never forced me to stick with anything ever in my life. So that's why
I'm
I
gonna take the easy way. I'll blame your mom.
I have a violin that I never learned to play. Never finished learning to play the piano. Never finished learning to play the guitar. Never finished learning percussion, even though I was in percussion in band for 3 years. So there's that. And it's devolving into this weird thing. Okay, anyway, so also second notation on this, okay? I am terrified of zombie games. You know me. I love all things zombie. I've watched like every zombie movie in existence. I'm obsessed.
But yeah, it's a whole lot different when you're
But for
in
some
control.
reason,
Yeah.
I am terrified. I'm terrified. So I'm trying to overcome that, because I bought a very expensive
Zombie games.
Oculus, and have yet to play Walking Dead Saints and Sinners because I was so terrified. But anyway, let me move on. So, okay. If you've ever played Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds, which is a Nintendo GameCube game, there were zombies in that, and I was scared of that. And they're not even scary. So, like, this is the level that I'm at. I'm so sorry that this is going on for so long. Anyway, because Dave was like, someone on this podcast needs to have played the game, Bridget, and if it's not you, we're gonna find somebody else. None of this is directed at me.
I'm not gonna let anybody else mosey in on my territory. It's just like,
But I felt like it was. And so he said, we'll have to find somebody else. And I was like, not on my watch. I will force myself to really badly play this video game. And I did. And guess what? Where I stopped is exactly where this episode stopped. So,
after how much time?
perfecto.
After how much
Okay.
time?
I keep saying 2 hours. It was an hour and 45 minutes, but don't come for me. That's not very good.
It's not very nice.
Okay,
Also.
it's not good. There were 2 spots I got stuck at. One because this guy ran around a corner and then I couldn't figure out where he went, so I kept losing the chase scene. And then the other one, I'm not good at stealthing, and I just kept getting shot. So anyway,
So you don't.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to be your representative of person who likes the games, because I'm assuming I'm gonna like it, because I really like it so far. And my husband played it. He quit too. This is bad. He played it, and I did watch him play it, so I know some of the story further than I played. But anyway, I'm sorry, guys. That's my long rant about the games.
I just read that
So-
my mic is okay. My mic should be a lot better now. Yeah, it was using the camera mic. There you go. How about that?
Takira said she
thanks,
read
Thomas.
the show was going beyond the game.
So yeah. I was going
that's
to mention that
interesting.
after your long rant. God,
I'm sorry. I went on for
kidding.
so long.
I feel like you meant to go in like a straight direction, but then you're like, but then I got to tell them about my history.
I gotta zig and zag, you know?
Yeah.
I gotta zig and zag.
Well, I'm glad that a lot of people like the premiere. I think I want to start off by talking about some of the things that I've been seeing. I think some of the folks, I think Kirsten Acuna had mentioned that she had seen the entire first season or something to that effect. I can't remember, or it was the premiere. I could swear it was the entire season. She said something to the effect of, like, it wasn't impressive. And I'm not going to, like, we all got together, and Charity was the first to say it, and she said, who cares what critics say? The only thing I care about is what you guys think, and, what we think on our first watch. No need to poison the well or anything like that. But I happen to I'm interested in this series so far. There's some elements in there that I really, really liked. I like that it took its time to tell the story, an hour and a half, which is really sweet. But let's get first impressions like we always do. I like Crystal's comment. I didn't know it was a video game until I saw the trailer. I'm like, well, that's kind of like why I wanted to go in without having played the games, because I wanted to basically be able to judge the show on its merits. You know, it's kind of like The Walking Dead. I knew there was a comic book, and I was just like, you know what? Let's us watch the show and just judge it based on its own merits without going back to the comic book, without knowing anything about the comic book. And then I start this stupid podcast, and then, you know, you can't avoid getting hints from like the comic book as you start really, really researching the not the source material, but like you try to get graphics and try to get concepts for graphics that you're gonna have in the thumbnails and like in the podcast graphics. So it's kind of like, you know, you just can't avoid getting that information. So, but what are your first impressions, Bridget, having played up until this episode was finished?
Okay.
So far, because
Okay.
you're gonna have the most insight, I think, just having it fresh in your mind.
So yeah, I mean that helps, right? Like I literally just played it over the last couple of days. So it had moments that were shot for shot the same.
In the beginning, right? I had a feeling that was going to be the case.
A lot of the episode actually.
Oh, even
a lot of the episode.
even the 20 years
Yeah.
later. Mhm.
Yeah. Not everything. There were some minor changes, and they've got to do that, right? Like this is like The Walking Dead all over again. Like you've got to change it a little bit from the source material, otherwise you're literally just watching the video game played out again, and you're not even engaged in it. So like, what's the point of that? So there were some little changes here and there. I overall enjoyed it. I thought it was close enough to the video game that it's not gonna alienate everybody right away. You know how they kind of have to do that with that first episode to really hook people in.
Right.
Again, similar to The Walking Dead. Was very similar to the first issue.
Actually, yeah. 20 years later, like, did you get this impression? Because I want to step on this before I lose it from my brain. When it did the 20-year time jump and you see the Fedra walls in Boston, when I saw that kid shuffling down the street, was your first impression not the teddy bear girl walker?
It was.
Okay.
And I will say that is one thing that's different this time. One, the time jump is the same in the video game. So for everyone that's like the time jump, like that's the same. That's exactly how it goes in the game. Two, the other thing is that the time jump is different.
Okay.
The game starts in 2013 and time jumps 20 years to 2033.
Ooh, okay. But
We started in 2003 and time jumped to now.
right. And I think there was a
Which makes sense.
Right. The specific reason for that obviously being, okay, we're talking about pandemics. I like the lead into this episode, which went all the way back to 68, was it? And
Yes.
Sharon, what did you think of that?
Yes.
Because I thought that was pretty sweet.
I loved the science-y thing. He was like, I mean, the way that guy, the man who was playing him, he was in Four
Fringe.
Weddings and a Funeral.
Sorry.
And yeah, and
He's been in a ton of stuff.
Also
Yeah.
in, right.
I think they're both in
Sliding
Fringe.
Doors, which was all about. It was all about how things would have been different if they had done one thing different, how different their lives would have been. So
Okay.
I actually kind of thought about that when I was watching this. You know, even though it's not what the show was really about, I was thinking about the. What if they had just done this one thing different or that one thing different? Like he would have gotten away, his daughter would have lived.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of had that thought going on, but I overall, number one, going into the show, I had no idea what the show was other than it had something to do with an apocalypse, and it was a video game. I knew nothing about it otherwise.
Right. Similar
going into
zombie
it
type
like that-
themed things. Yeah.
Right. I was excited to go into it not knowing anything. It's like unique.
Same.
So
Same.
yeah, I'm. Please don't spoil me, folks.
Guys, when you get a
Please. I don't want
chance, tell us what you were exactly screaming at or cursing or whatnot. I'm actually like specifically like what were the moments that made you react? Because I mean, when I watch these things, I'm like a hawk. I'm just like intense. I'm like it's very hard to turn off podcast brain, like making notes in your head, because obviously we're not taking actual notes, and I don't want to take actual notes, but your brain is already in that mode where like, oh man, I gotta make sure I talk about that, and so it's hard to turn that off. So like when I'm doing that, I'm like, no emotions, I'm just like looking. But on that note of podcast brain, I thought it was very subtle how in that sequence where they're back in 68 and they're talking about pandemics and bacterias versus viruses, the guy goes into the fungus rant, and how when he was talking about not specifically the cordyceps, but about fungus, the fungi that take over your brain, how it panned to the audience intensely watching this man speak, basically saying it hijacks your attention or your basically your intelligence. And I thought that was a very clever way of like saying, oh, look at everybody watching this guy intently. He's commanding them. Like he's not commanding them, but he's like commanding their attention. It's just a great play on how this would invade your consciousness. There's subtle things that happen in this episode, like here and there also, like how the specific attention to looking at clocks, the alarm clock, the on the nightstand, the actual watch, the watchmaker's storefront has this big.
I loved when they pulled down the shade,
right, and you can actually see like a clock
really
over
cool.
there. Yeah, so there's interesting. It plays with time a little bit too, and we're jumping through time. It's like 35 years later after 68, and then again, it is exactly 20 years later after 2003. So I don't know, we're going to keep skipping 15 years later? No, I'm kidding. I don't know. But like, I just like that there's a theme of time. There's a theme of hijacking. Fedra hijacks the people's will, essentially, it seems like. They're hijacking people to do the tasks that they need to do. And you don't really know whose side you really want to be on. Do you want to be part of the Fireflies, quote unquote, which... Okay, is that their name? I have no idea, but they're called Fireflies. So let's go with that. Again, I haven't played the games. And, like, okay, let me ask this plain old question. Like, just for those of you who haven't played the games, like, are you on either side of this debate? Of this, like, okay, are you with Fedra? Like, they're obviously keeping them safe, but are they happy? Are they safe? And...
Well, isn't it like it's a parallel to the Commonwealth? It's the same question we had with the Commonwealth in Walking Dead. Are they safe or are they the problem?
Right, exactly.
You know?
Well, and the answer is a lot more iffy in this case, too, because we're not talking about, like, ice cream and clean streets, We're talking about post-apocalypse stuff. Oh, Charity is frozen.
No, I see her.
You
She's
do?
still here.
Okay.
Yeah, she's good.
Okay. Not on my end, so it's kind of disconcerting. Well, that's what everybody else sees, so there you go. So let me read some of the chats though too. When they were driving through the city and I was cursing at the screen to Kira, the eater scared me the most in the plane going down. Okay. That's pretty cool. Walking Dead Eternal. Tikra, I suspected the planes to go down, but didn't. When it did, I screamed. Crystal I was yelling at the girl to turn around when the old lady was twitching. I wasn't sure that the lady... I really liked that scene, too. I wasn't really sure that the lady was going to go after her, and then the girl was checking in on her neighbor. Walking Dead Eternal says, oh, yeah, the old lady. I was like, what the hell's going on with her? And Crystal says, I was kind of grossed out when that fungi was hanging out of her mouth. I thought that was pretty clever. And one of the things that I'd heard that they are not going to be bringing into the series is the idea of spores being the... transmission mechanism for this series. So what I'm guessing is direct contact, which brings us back to like The Walking Dead. Okay, direct contact. Do you get bit? Let's say. So I guess they're going.
That's
that
interesting.
route. Yeah,
that's interesting. That does.
They look like Dementors sucking the soul out of the people.
That's terrifying too.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting that at one point when they're in Joel's like apartment that it focused in on the dust coming down because that's how the spores look in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna do it? Are we not gonna do it?
Yeah, I see what they did there.
Not.
I see what they did there.
They're definitely not. So, I mean, unless they're lying, which is we've learned that can happen over the years. Oh, Madison's not coming back. Just kidding. Fear the Walking Dead. Anyway, let me see. Takira says we are watching someone play the game on Richie's phone, and it's definitely the scene the same. Okay, cool. Crystal Jordan says, I know, right? I was looking at her more than the girl in that scene, the old lady.
That scared me more than anything else that happened on the show. Was that old lady in the background?
Yeah,
That freaked me out more
she
than
was so
anything
creepy.
else.
that's probably the scariest part of that. Scariest things that's happened this episode too. Well, and I did like that reveal in the like where they were like in the subway tunnels and they go into that room and you see the one just splayed out against the wall, the dead one essentially.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool. I did have a minor twitch reaction. I was like, I twitched my eye just for, I was like, oh, that was cool. And then I continued staring intensely at my screen.
I love that they had like the mushrooms growing out of the wall, like you could see the texture and everything. Like it was so gross.
And the colors.
But it was, and I guess that's you. I mean, is that what happens when it gets to a certain? Because he was talking about the fungus infecting and then taking over the host.
Right.
So is that what happens eventually when it runs out of food? It
Right.
runs out of human to eat, so it just explodes all over wherever the human happens to be.
Well, it's got to try to
Migrate or something. Right?
migrate in some way. Now, okay, they're not doing the spore thing, so it doesn't make really much sense. But you have to think of like mushrooms in real life, right?
Water, liquid.
Like there's certain types of fungus that will, like, to explode.
Right.
So it makes sense that they would do that.
Right, but these aren't they, right?
But do you get infected by stepping in it? I mean, obviously they walked by it and they didn't get infected, so breathing it is not an issue. But
Right.
what if you step in it or you have an open cut and you touch it or something? Is that going to transmit
I guess
the
that's
fungus disease to you?
I guess that's something we're gonna have
Because
to find out.
With
Yeah.
the little boy, I mean I couldn't see it super well, but was it like a root had punched through his pants or something and got him when?
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh,
maybe.
the kid at the beginning?
Right. The kid
Right.
we compared to the
Oh,
teddy bear
okay.
girl Walker.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Takira said something pretty funny. She said, "Oh, they're all infected. Wait, this isn't The Walking Dead." No, I guess not. So, Crystal said, "I wish the daughter would stay on the show." But that's like one thing I do know about the video game series is that what makes Joel is the fact that he loses his daughter and how eventually the show is going to weave its way into him having this relationship with Ellie, essentially. So it's like his defining driving force, let's say. Scream Queen, which is Rachel Ballou. All right, I'm saying that wrong, and I know I'm saying it
It's
wrong.
Felicia, Ray.
Felicia.
Oh wait, no, that's
That's
Felicia.
Felicia
No,
Ray.
see, damn it. Thank you for clearing me up.
Rachel Blue is the meme queen. not
Yeah,
the
meme
scream
queen. That's why I would like my Scream Queen. No, it's meme queen. Anyway, she says I switched over to YouTube because my comments weren't showing up. Yeah, well, they probably were. Let me see. Yeah, they probably were, but I wasn't paying attention. You know why? Because Thomas was texting me earlier about my mic, and then I forgot to switch over to that screen. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you for showing up. Okay. Wait. I thought it was Fear the Walking Dead Season 1, Felicia says, and the movie Children of Men with Clive Owen. That's actually I've been meaning to watch that movie again because it's one of those movies I started and just never finished. But yeah,
that movie's great.
the scenery on the outside, at least in the preview for the next episode, is well, and you get bits of that in this episode as well. Yeah, Children of Men, like these rivers and destroyed modern scenery and just beautiful. Lois says that was weird. Do we have Carol and Daryl here? Like, I honestly hope not. Let's see.
Thomas said, wait a minute, I lost it.
What if the little girl is Madison?
Yeah, what if the little girl is Madison?
You shut your mouth,
I'm gonna
Tom.
punch that screen. Yeah, Shanity's screen isn't moving because there's a technical difficulty. I don't know if she turns her video off and on or your camera off and on. I don't know if it'll come back, but it's stuck on my screen, so that's why it's
She's like staring everyone down on YouTube.
yeah. She's got this scowl. I think it's in response to Lois's comment. No, Carol and Daryl are not showing up. That's permanently stuck. But thank you
Did
for
I
sure.
change?
No, it didn't. It didn't change. Didn't quite. I guess
No.
I have to navigate that.
It's okay.
How did the old lady get infected? That is something that was running through my mind. Lois's great question just now. How did the old lady
Well,
get infected?
Takira gives the answer.
They took her into the city a lot for medical stuff. Good answer. I was thinking
Well,
like
it's what they said in the show, because she is asking when they're in the car on the way, in the truck on their way out of their neighborhood, because they've all gone into the city too. Like she had gone into the city
to fix
that
the
day.
watch,
To the
right?
watch stop.
So
Right, to the
that's why
watch
she's
stop.
like, well, they would have had to have gone a lot, right? Like
Yeah.
what quantifies as a lot for that, yeah. But I imagine, if someone got sick, they were taken to the hospital, and then it was spreading at the hospital.
Right. As disease often do in hospitals,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, which is why they like to discharge you as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Crystal, do you mean that the old lady was already sick, like, way before, and the fungus was just taking its time, or...
Well, if you saw that
That'd be
chart
interesting.
at the very beginning, when the little kid is at the Fedra, like, QZ, like,
Uh-huh.
entrance, I guess, there's a chart on the wall that goes through, like, how quickly transmission is.
Right.
And it was, like, within a couple minutes, I thought. Because it was, like, 1
Well,
to 3
even-
minutes was, like,
It-
head,
It
something
was
else.
like your
at the
hands, and
end,
then the last one
um,
was your feet or something.
When Ellie is trying to tell them that she's not sick, she shows them her arm and she's like, people die within a day.
Right.
So this I would be dead already. Does this look like it's a day old to you? So it's obviously within 24 hours you're dead.
Yeah.
Thomas is Charity as RBF. Restless bitch face, I guess.
Resting. It's resting.
Well, also restless, so...
We like to say resting baby face.
Where? And who's we?
Me. At work. That's what we say.
Now children. It's resting baby face. It
no,
better be.
No, the teachers say that, not the
Okay.
kids. We don't say that to the kids.
Also
ever.
banana dogs.
Banana dogs.
Not the rest of it, though.
I loved the Game of Thrones reunion we had going on with Oberyn Martell and little Lyanna Mormont.
The bears. What are they called? The bears or something like that? Their
Do I
sigil?
need to pull out my headphones?
Well, it's just a sigil. Well, you knew that from Jorah Mormont. He's like, they're the bear house. I think. Bear Island. That's where they're from. Thank you. In my head.
Bear Island.
I thanked my brain for remembering. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal who were in. So it's a Lord of the Rings reunion, and it's like a Fringe reunion because of Anna Torv, the dude in the beginning. There was somebody else from Fringe as well that I thought I made a mental note of, but I guess I forgot.
They knocked it out of the park at the beginning. Those were very great like character actors that we've seen in like a ton of other stuff.
Ton of science fiction stuff. Oh my god.
Yes, like I was just like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, Big Head.
Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, Big Head from that show with the guy, right? What was that show
We
called
lost
on HBO?
Sharon.
Oh,
We lost
ba, ba.
Sharon.
Where's my sound effects? Ba, 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 ba. She'll be back. She'll be back, right? They all come
Okay,
back, right?
Well, if you guys are interested, while we're waiting for Sharon to come back, I could discuss what was shot for shot and what was different.
Well, let me read some more things before we do.
Okay.
It could be a vaccine people take to prevent getting sick. Crystal says, when his daughter got to the house after school, the old lady's face started changing behind her. Yep, we talked about that. Man, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this show. It's a Ted Bear Goat moment. Yeah, I really like that. If only there were more masks, would have flattened the curve.
Shut up, Tom.
Anyway, internet went out. Be back ASAP. That's what she says. Anna Torv was a badass in the premiere. Yes, Crystal. I like the the lead girl too. Bella Ramsey. Yeah, right. I love Anna Torv. She's phenomenal. She's Australian. What's wrong with my tongue?
I don't know.
She's
Australian. That was weird.
Yeah. I used to.
She's playing a really cool character too. Tess is badass.
Total badass. I mean, I think when you get this far, you're automatically a badass. Just a matter of, it's just a matter of if you like this badass or you don't like this badass. Especially the dudes that try to steal the stuff.
Yeah.
I love seeing my girl from Fringe. Yes, Takira. Yes. Where's Joshua Jackson? I have a personal rivalry with Joshua
yes.
Jackson.
Where's Pacey?
Yeah. But what is that other guy's name in real life? He's also Australian, or is he Australian? Yes. Yeah. The dude that played the old guy. I don't remember his name. I hope we see him.
I don't remember his name. I do love him, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah. I think he's an excellent actor, though. Oh, and he was also in Lord of the Rings. One of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, in love with Joshua Jackson. I lost another one. I have told this story before, I think, but it was like, season 1 of our coverage, like The Walking Dead season 8. I was flirting. I had this like sort of online relationship sort of thing that was starting out, and the person whom I was flirting with went to this like party with Joshua Jackson, and he was chatting her up, and she was telling me all about this. I'm getting like this really weird jealous feeling, right? And we go back and forth, and like she's telling me how Joshua Jackson called her up again. I'm like, the fuck? I can't compete with Joshua Jackson. And so
no, you
like
cannot.
I'm
sorry, Dave.
I've never felt jealousy before in my life, but it was just this strange thing where like, how can you compete with Joshua Jackson? So like ever since then, I have this funny rivalry in my head. I lost another one to Joshua Jackson.
That's hilarious because I did not know where you were going with that.
Yeah.
I have a rivalry with him. I was like, okay.
I would get into the whole story, but it actually makes me look worse than I already am as a human. So
okay,
we're
we'll
gonna
save
move
that
on.
for off of the podcast.
But he was
fine.
actually really, really good in Fringe. Okay, let's leave that alone.
He's great. Yeah.
He sucks. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, hey, Christopher. Ray. Yeah. A lot of Australians. Yeah. I love being blind to the cast. Cool. Yeah, I do too. The surprise was incredible seeing Anna Torv, just mind-blowing since Mindhunters. Yeah, you know what? That's another one I wanted to watch, Mindhunters. Actually,
I'm so pissed
on
that it's
again, isn't it?
canceled.
Oh.
Mindhunter got canceled.
Well, they're still pushing it too for a show that's been canceled.
It's great. It was really good.
Oh, that's cool. Thomas says Joshua Jackson is working on a new TV show with Lauren Ridloff. I lost another one.
Awesome.
I lost another
You
one.
did. You'll never be as good as Joshua Jackson.
Thank you, Takira. John Noble is his name. Yes, incredible. Love him in Sleepy Hollow. I did see that, didn't I? Yeah, anyway. Yeah, Lauren Ridloff is an amazing actress. Walking Dead Eternal. Can't wait for the new show, Takira says. Oh, but I love you too, Okay, that's fine. As long as you don't leave me for Joshua Jackson. If Joshua Jackson starts a podcast about the Walking Dead universe and beyond, just don't leave.
I'm gonna leave you for Joshua Jackson. I'm gonna leave too.
That would hurt the most, Bridget.
He'd be like, "Hey, you random girl, would you like to be
like
on
what you're
my
doing.
podcast?"
What if he was just? What if he has like this personal vendetta thing?
He's gonna vent against you.
And he's just like poaching everybody that I love in life.
It's so
like,
funny.
First of all, 20 years later, 15.
Suddenly, Evelyn like leaves you for Joshua Jackson. I'm dead. I can't.
It's doable.
I
Too.
can't.
It's so
I can't.
doable. That's the worst. He's
Oh,
so
Joshua. Don't do it. Don't do it today, Joshua. Just leave him
doable.
alone.
Can you imagine like this show would be dedicated to like what Joshua Jackson did to me today?
I wish that was a podcast. I would listen to that.
I would. That would be my sole purpose in life. That would be. I wouldn't be able to kill myself. Why don't we podcast
listen
about
to
it?
what Joshua Jackson did to me today. How he wronged me today.
Yeah, something like in Joshua Jackson's Revenge. Like it's me again. Let's talk about what Joshua Jackson did to me again today. So my wife left me. Anyway,
What would Joshua Jackson do?
Yeah, WWJD. Right. There you go. That's perfect, actually. Wait, where are you, Sharon? Oh, her internet's still out. Joshua Jackson will be forever Charlie from the Mighty Ducks. Yeah, well, it's like with child actors, too. Like, anyway, let's not talk about John. No, he hijacked the show because I let him. But then you can. Now I'm blaming you. Oh, Lois?
This is what drives the wedge between us. It's why I leave you for
Again.
Joshua Jackson.
Anyway, Lois says I will kick his ass for you if I see him. No, Lois, it's only gonna make things worse. Don't do it.
Oh
Just
God.
be like, who is David Cameo? I'm like, you stole everything he had in life. Oh, that's his name? Whoops. Anator. I mean, no, never mind. I had never had Anator. Yeah. I don't want want to wait. Wait, for what?
He doesn't.
The show?
No, I don't want to wait
Oh, for
our lives to be over.
Right.
I want to know right now. I don't remember.
Okay, so what's the theme song to Charmed? Well, what's the theme song to Charmed? Remember how I compared Dawson's Creek to Charmed, and then everybody hated me.
It's that Smith song. I am the. I don't remember the words.
Well, speaking of songs,
I am human and I need to be loved.
All right. Credit.
that's
Took
right.
you a while though.
It did. It took me a while. There we go.
There's
There we go.
There's no comparison.
There we go. Takira's got it. Takira's got it for me. What show are we even covering right now?
So
Like, what
speaking
is
of songs,
happening?
Depeche Mode came up on the end, one of the '80s songs, which
Oh
means
yeah,
Trouble.
there's trouble.
What was the song? It was "Never Let Me Down Again," if I'm not mistaken. Actually, that was one of the things. Like I had to, let me get this note because obviously, yeah, it's "Never Let Me Down Again." Which growing up, I never heard that song. First time I ever heard that song was a B-side from Smashing Pumpkins, and it's really Smashing Pumpkins B-sides were really, really cool. It introduced me to 80 songs that I'd never heard of. Not that I'd never heard of, but like the Cars. It's like I never really regularly listened to the Cars. Like, so they have a good You're All I've Got Tonight. Their B-side, their cover of that is really, really good.
Tom.
Depeche Mode with the guest vocalist Joshua Jackson. Well, no, you can have Depeche Mode. That's fine.
No. I don't want him to have Depeche Mode.
No, that's cool. Because it makes Bridget hate him more. So there you go. Depeche Mode did have a song in Sense8, and I think it was if it was a remix or redo of one of their other songs, if I'm not mistaken.
It's been so long since I watched that show.
Great show.
Literally since the first season came out.
And all the other actors from Sense8 have gone on to do cooler things now, if I'm not mistaken. I recently saw the German kid in something else, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Great show.
All right, let's get back to
Netflix.
Last
Anyways.
of Us. This is really it's just, what are we doing?
Well,
okay.
Let's continue with impressions though, because like I do like the thing that I like most about television shows is when it can find time to take time. I've been watching a lot of anime recently, and one of the cool things that anime likes to do, even though like the episodes are like only 20 minutes long, and you have to, if you were watching it in real time, you'd want to hang yourself. But since you get to watch these seasons out like back to back,
5 minutes of which is the theme song intro and outro.
yes.
It's like they're both so long.
Yeah. Well, but one other thing that anime does that isn't found a lot in modern TV shows is it finds a way to take its time. Like the season finale of Tokyo Ghoul, the first season 1 finale of Tokyo Ghoul, there's a sequence where somebody's holding somebody else, and it's literally, I think, at least a minute long, and it's just somebody just carrying in silence. Meanwhile, it's noisy all around these two characters, but it just watching him in silence carry this body towards the authorities, let's say, and it was just this gut-wrenching. I'm watching this, and it's excruciatingly emotional. And what I liked about what they did in this show is they married like these intense moments of action and it does find a way to, in some places, take its time, like to build the story up.
That's really similar to a video game, though. You know, like you can't be high adrenaline the whole time. They've got to give you these like big, you know, action moments, and then they've got to give you the time to like dial down a little bit.
Right. So in other words,
so that you're not go.
They did good here.
Yeah, they did.
Do you think that maybe this show may have? It's funny, like, you know, when you watch TV this much, you feel like you're never gonna get enough, even though it was like an hour and a half of content. Like while I was watching, I was like, yes, this is exactly the amount of time that I needed to digest this first episode. But but in some senses, like when you really like whittle it down, like what actually happened? Okay, we got the beginning sequence where we established like Joel's past, and then we get like this whole, I think, hour of like this the present. I'm like, wait, so he's trying to get a battery. They found the battery, and it was busted, and he tried to sell it twice. Then the girl is needed for something, and I feel like I know what that something is, and it's super obvious. I wish they would say it already.
Yep.
And that's the one thing that I thought was kind of, I don't know. Is it you're on the same wavelength as I am, is like, why don't they just come out and say it? Like, why are you
They do in the game, so I don't know why they're trying to like withhold it here.
Like, if they're trying to bury the lead, they're not doing it well. I mean, like, I'm not trying to shit on the show, but like,
this is where a lot of the differences come in, though. Like Takira just said that she has gotten to a part that differs from the show greatly, but they still haven't gotten to Ellie, and that was my concern when I was playing the game yesterday and today. I was like,
for like an hour
dude,
and 45 minutes.
Where is the girl? Like, they're going to introduce this little girl in the show, and I haven't even gotten to her. But the whole beginning part is like, it's not with her.
Right. With Ellie is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not with Ellie. And and also it's different. They're not trying to get a car battery.
Oh, okay. What are they trying to get in the game?
So in the game, Tess and Joel are smugglers. They're a team. There's no outright romantic relationship between them that we know of. So her crawling into bed with him was a little bit weird, because I was like, man, I hope they don't do that. I hope they leave it more ambiguous. And then of course she like got into bed, and I was like, okay, well maybe they're together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still a little ambiguous though. Like,
it's a little bit. I don't know. I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm sure people like probably wrote a ton of fanfic about the two of them together, so maybe they're just like trying to give the audience a bone. But anyway,
well, it's also kind of realistic though. I mean, after 20 years,
yeah,
you have to find comfort somewhere, right?
So they're smugglers, and they Tess does get jumped by two of Robert's men. Now he's not with them, and you don't see it. So that was kind of the cool thing about this, was that there were scenes in the show that were not, like, we just didn't see anything there, so we don't know if that's how the day went or not. For instance, the beginning of the show shows Sarah and Joel in the morning, and Tommy coming over to their house. You don't see any of that. It starts at night.
Right, that night, right?
You see her, she's fallen asleep on the sofa. Joel comes home, wakes her up. She gives him the birthday gift. Now it's a new watch. It's not his watch. It's a new one. Because his is broken. So some of that was all there, but like none of that stuff was in the morning. So it's like, so that kind of, it doesn't necessarily go against the canon that's already there. Exactly, Sharondy. They're just fleshing out the story, right? They're just like adding extra pieces. So that part was kind of cool. And same thing with Tess. Like, she just comes in and she's like, she's got a black eye. She's like, I was jumped. Joel's like, what happened? She's like, two of Robert's men. It could have gone exactly how it did, and we just don't know.
But we do now,
you know?
sort of, right? Or we don't, ish, but we...
Oh, I mean, like, it didn't... Maybe there wasn't a bombing, but, like, for the most part, it could have gone that way. But anyway, it's all about guns.
Oh, instead of a car battery.
So, yeah, and then Marlene has the guns, and Tess goes with Marlene to get her help when she's bleeding out, but also to check and make sure that the guns are real that she's claiming that she has. So,
and is she part of the Fireflies in the game thus far?
Marlene?
Yeah.
She is the leader.
Okay. Okay.
That is accurate.
So
that is accurate.
That lines up. Okay.
And Joel and Tess are not involved in it. They are just smugglers. There were no drugs.
Going back to the point, Joel and Tess-
There were no drugs.
Right.
So anyway, Joel and Tess then go after Robert. And so there's this whole scene where you're like sneaking around and killing all of his men and getting to him, and then Tess is killing him. And that's the thing. Tess is the one everyone's afraid of. Not Joel.
Right. So
Tess is the badass.
So how does that make you feel to see that it's not quite like that?
It's fine, because like I said, like, you've got to change it a little bit, or I'm gonna be like, I literally just played this.
Right.
This is boring.
True.
So it's got to change. It's got to change a little. So I didn't mind the changes that they made. There wasn't anything that was like insane. Now, to be fair, I don't know what part Tommy plays in the video games, and I'm assuming that it's gonna be different here, just based on how this is going. Tommy was a part of the Fireflies. He left Joel. He joined the Fireflies. He left the Fireflies, and then now nobody knows where he is, as far as I know.
Right. It seems to line
so
up
it's similar.
with the show too.
It's similar, but I don't want to give away too much, but I just feel like it's going to be really different.
Especially if we don't know what's going to happen. Like, I did see the teaser into the next episode, and it feels like that's how it's going, but he left, and so things are different now. You do see, like, him in a new community where there's snow, etc. Mm-hmm. Or it could be a flashback. I don't know. Lois had said something about when she saw the 3 people hanging or about to be hanged, it just reminded her of the Hunger Games too. I did get that feeling too. I like that they did a pretty quick way of establishing that Fedra is, well, more like kangaroo court, or something's up and wrong here, and they were doing an awful lot to keep people in line.
It's authoritarian, right? It's like
public executions and stuff like that.
Well, and people were watching.
Right.
Which says a lot about, like, what's going on, right?
And maybe they have to watch, too.
It seems like it was really, like, nothing else going on.
Let's see. Takira says, yes, in the game, it almost immediately was his daughter being alone and walking across the street. It happened really quickly. Yeah, the game kind of jumps you right into the beginning of the backstory.
Yeah.
Let me see. And no birthday cake, though. You know, no birthday cake. Yeah, that's right. You know who else has guns? Joshua Jackson. Fuck you. You mean Gunz, Tom. Lois says it would be cruel. It would be a Carol badass. That would be a Carol. Yeah. Tess, would you say that Tess is kind of like a Carol badass? At least in the games?
I mean, I don't know far enough, like, how long she lasts or anything like that. I mean, we're talking ZA here, so, like, God only knows.
Right.
But... yeah, maybe, like, to some degree. Like, she's kind of hardened. She doesn't really need anybody. She's one of those kind of people.
Right. Well, hopefully it's the same way in the show, too.
Yeah. I was happy to see it was Anna Torv. She's a really talented actress, and so that was just a win. Like, to see, oh, that's who plays Tess. Cool. Like, great. Perfect for her.
Perfect casting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, going back to... them really not doing a good job of bearing the lead of what Ellie could be, it could be that they're making it that obvious because it's not the case that she has the cure, is what we're all thinking, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, she has a resistance to the cordyceps fungus thing. But that's the thing, and I feel like that's where they're heading. And the teaser, and this is like the worst part, like, if that was the case, then the teaser showing her scratching her arm now, it could be a nightmare or whatever, but like her, like, oh no, it's spreading. Oh no. Like, that could not be the case. And that could be like, okay, you did such a good job of not bearing the lead, obviously. So now you're just showing us that that's the case, that she really doesn't have a resistance, or she has some resistance, but it's not working, or that's a little frustrating to me. Now, because we're watching week to week, not like we're binging a TV show. So you kind of want to keep stuff like that under wraps. Or maybe this is the tactic all along, is just to keep us on the fence. Like, okay, it will they, won't they? You know? Like, oh, it was that obvious, but maybe it isn't. Anyway. Yeah, Tommy used to work on the decks. Now we're talking about...
Tommy, you still
his
work
name?
on the Bon Jovi.
Bon
dude.
Jovi, thank you. I'm like, Billy Joel? No, that's not it. Walking Dead Eternal. I haven't played the games either, but Bridget is starting to. She got to the first episode.
I got to the end of the first episode. So good.
Sharon says, I love how intelligent Ellie is, so much like Joel's daughter. Yeah, I don't know that we have all that yet, though, so far with Ellie. She seems bright, but I don't know if she's as smart as Joel's daughter, what's her name in the show?
Sarah Miller.
Okay. Joel Miller. That's a very Jewish name. Joel and Tommy Miller. Anyway, sorry. Super quick-witted, yeah. Takir says, from what I've learned about the apocalyptic diseases, there's always more than one resistant human.
True.
Except for The Walking Dead. So,
True.
there you go. Crystal says, yeah, I like some of her remarks on the show. Takir says, in varying degrees of resistance. Takir says, and we're watching a 12-hour walkthrough. Yeah.
Well, I said this.
Yeah.
I said this before we got onto the stream, but the games on average take people anywhere from 15 to 19 hours. The first game. So, so that's like someone speedrunning through it, I think, or having clipped out unimportant stuff.
Right. Oh, Crystal's gonna head out, but yes, yeah.
Bye, Crystal.
Make
Thanks
sure to
for
listen
coming.
listen to the audio podcast when this is all done, because it'll be a lot cleaner than this. So, well, there you go. Sharon, do you want to bounce on, or you can come on if you want. Is it too late for you? I don't know if I have too much to say after that, though, honestly. But why don't you? You said you were gonna bring up where the games and the show differs.
Okay, yeah. So I did already a little bit with the beginning. So the beginning is different in that way. There's no relationship showcased with the neighbors. Now they do know the neighbors. The neighbors are infected. The man breaks through their sliding glass door, and Joel has to shoot him. And so that's where that scene where he hits Nana with the wrench, and he hugs Sarah, and is like,
shot for shot.
kind of like, it's okay. That's very similar for that same reason, because he shoots the guy, and then she's like, you shot him, and then that happens.
Wow.
What was really cool was the truck scene when they're driving out of the neighborhood. Now that stuff wasn't there. The stuff with Denise, get back in your house, and then her getting eaten in the background.
Oh,
That wasn't there. But the POV from the back where you can see Tommy and Joel, that's in the video game.
That's the player POV?
You can move. Yeah, you can move right to left and look, and you hear them. And a lot of that conversation was the same. That guy's farm is on fire. Where they get to the T intersection, and the cops fly by. That was shot for shot. The way that they drove over grass and stuff, they take a dirt road to get into a different area. That's all the same. They get into town, and here's where it changed. They get into town, and that car that almost hit them, that slams on their brakes, does hit them. There are no planes that come down. That's not what happened.
But they're it would be cooler if you did with the planes.
So I like that, though. I like that they were because you saw it and you're like, oh, weird. What's going to happen next? And then a plane comes down. The same thing happens. So it's kind of cool. Same thing. She does get shot. Same kind of way. Tommy kills the soldier that did it, and then
by a person of authority, not like somebody who's panicking or nothing like that, which establishes his reaction later on to the guy he knows.
He's more reluctant in the video game.
In terms of what?
He radios in that he's coming in contact with people, and you hear him say, but it's a little girl. And then he's like, okay. So his half of the conversation is, he's like, but there's a little girl here. They're telling him to, kill him. And he's saying, but it's a little girl.
Oh,
and so
you're
he's
saying
more
the soldier.
hesitant.
The soldier.
The soldier's more hesitant with what's happening. So then it does the time jump of 20 years in the future, but we're in 2033 in the video game. Mm-hmm. Some of that stuff is different. We don't see Joel working We don't see that component of it. So that was kind of interesting just to see. And maybe we do. I don't know. Maybe we do see that in the game further. And maybe there's flashbacks that I'm not aware of. But I didn't see that part. The stuff with Tess is different. So we talked about that already.
Mm-hmm.
Another really cool aspect of it that was shot for shot is in the rain, going through all of that, escaping the city stuff.
Near the end,
The going through the tunnels, like those sewer lines.
with the pitter patter.
That's the same. It's the same. You crouch down. You're like crouching for those parts of the game, and you're walking through those. And so I like that the actors were all crouching like while they were doing it. It was really cool to see because it was so similar to how you play it.
They pressed the toggle in the D-pad, right, or whatever that is, the stick, and they crouched.
That's not the button in the game, but anyway.
Shut up. No, it's probably like an action button, right? Like, oh, press this to crouch or something.
Yeah. But there was there also wasn't the drug thing, so that soldier being someone that he knew is not what happens. He comes out of there's like a school bus that they go through the back of, and it's on like an incline, and they get to the end, and there's a soldier shoots to a cutscene. Soldier like grabs them, same thing, tests them, finds out Ellie's infected. And then Tess and Joel do have that conversation right away. And it is shared at that time that it is for
the cure or
the cure.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, everything else was pretty much the same. The stuff with Marlene goes down a slightly different, but not different enough that it really matters. And again, they're not after a battery, they're after guns.
Right.
And it's just because they're smugglers. They're just smugglers. And there's no rhyme or reason behind it. They're just smugglers.
Right. And Marlene has no vested interest in Ellie at all, right?
She does,
games.
actually. Okay. Their relationship is kinder. You don't see any of this, her locked up stuff. You don't see any of that. Now, to be fair, it could have happened before we get introduced to her because we don't meet her prior to Joel meeting her.
Right.
So...
And
maybe?
Marlene, in the show at least, has an actual relationship. She's the one who drops Ellie off at the academy or something. So that's a deeper...
And we don't know any of that either.
Right.
We don't know where Ellie was before this. We don't know...
And we probably
at
never
least not
will.
at this point.
Right.
Not at this point in the game. Maybe more of her story is fleshed out over time, but where I got in the game, it was not. So I got through all of that part, all of the creeping, getting out of the city stuff, and I get to downtown. In the game, you're taking her to the Capitol building. So you've got to get through the downtown area to get her to the Capitol
Is it
building.
Baston Prappa?
And I guess so. And at where I stopped was literally on a ledge, and like the street is like, you remember like in 2015, 2016, maybe a little bit before that, when all those sinkholes kept happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. It was just like a giant sinkhole.
The city,
And-
essentially.
No, like where you were at.
Oh,
and so
okay.
like I was like trying to figure out where to go, and I was like, screw this. And I just saved it and
I need a
exited out.
walkthrough.
No, I won't use walkthroughs. That's the thing. So I have to like try to figure everything out on my own.
I get it.
But yeah, so I stopped there. So like I said, similar enough that I would think it would hook people who are interested in the game.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you're kind of co-signing.
Enough difference that I wasn't bored out of my mind.
Right, watching this all over again.
Yeah, it seemed interesting enough. Plus, you know, when you already know the source material, you're kind of like, oh, that was different. Oh, that was different. Oh, that was different. And none of it was enough to be like, ugh, that was so different. Why?
Well, and there's the
No, I will say yet, because
Right.
it was the first episode, and we know that that's typically what happens. They use the source material for the first episode, and then we will see.
Well,
what
and
happens
that's
from
what
here.
it'll get interesting for all of us too, because like where I'll see a scene, I'll be like, yeah, this is cool. You'll be like, no, they just didn't do it well enough. They didn't do quite like the game. You wouldn't do that, but I'm saying somebody might.
Yeah.
But I so far, like, I'm really enjoying what they've cooked up. I think. Yeah, I mean, look, it's never going to be The Walking Dead, and this is the danger about covering a show like this, is that, like, there's going to be this intrinsic need or compulsion to compare it to The Walking Dead, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're not trying to hold it to a certain standard. You know, you kind of have to judge the show based on its own mythology. Like, I remember being consciously aware of watching this episode and being like, well, you know, obviously we learn things like found family, et cetera, but I remember I wanted to say this on the air, and that was, I remember during the pandemic, I said something to the effect of, like, our pandemic is what I'm saying. Like, I remember saying something to the effect of, I had this feeling that, like, well, maybe I ought to keep the friends that I have nearby a lot closer to me than I have been. And then watching this episode, I said to myself, well, but you know what? If you guys were X miles away from me, I know watching this episode made me want to find you. Which is not something I'd said almost 3 years ago. I didn't say that. I was just like, look, there's nothing I can do. I can't reach out to you. There's no internet. There's no phone. And it's true. 100% true. But then watching this show, there's a little bit more of that hope, I think.
So what you're telling me is that we all need to get satellite phones so we can still talk to each other.
Let's just get sat phones. Squawking sat phones.
Okay, I will not lie to you. I've gotten, like, you know, I'm like couponing and stuff. Like, part of this is it's prepping to a degree, right? Like, it is. I mean, it's unintentional prepping, but it is prepping. And so it's gotten to the point now where I'm like, do I need bug out bags?
Carol was very proud of her bug out bag when we were.
I will not lie to you. I will not lie to you. I'm very interested. But it's, anyway, I'm not going to derail that.
Had one.
No, I don't. I have people all the time tell me, well, if anything goes wrong, we're coming to your house. And I'm like,
no,
please don't.
Shot on sight.
Please don't. Do you have guns to bring? Because I don't really need you unless you have those.
Just another mouth to feed. Which was like another theme that I think
was,
see, I wasn't 100% sure the kid was sick, too. The teddy bear walker kid.
Me neither.
Right? Because it didn't show, like, the red, I don't think.
But it was... No, it did. It showed that it was red. And then I was like, that must mean that the kid's infected.
But then the lady lied.
Yeah, Dave. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
Say your goodbyes, kid. Like, what are you going to say? Like,
I think that's what made, like, Joel tossing the corpse of the kid into the fire that much, because I didn't see the red. And so when I saw it, I'm like, oh. But then I thought incorrectly that, like, oh, they don't care. They're just testing bullshit. They're not letting any new people in because they don't have enough food for everybody. So they're just
that may be the case, right? That may be the case. Like, maybe at the border, their equipment is intentionally telling them that everyone is infected.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe. I mean, we won't. I don't know that we'll ever find out.
That's interesting. Okay, let's pay attention to that.
Well, I think upcoming, what we should really be looking out for is that I would assume, if this is well written, which I know that everyone says the video games are some of the first one. I don't know. There's some disagreements on the second one. We will not get into it, but the first one in particular is one of the best written video games. Like, that's what people always say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the storyline is really incredible. It's emotional and deep and goes beyond so much. What I would think, good writing wise for a television show, is you are going to humanize the other side somehow. Right? So we're going to have to find out something about it.
Well, humanize whom in this scenario?
In this scenario, I think Fedra in some way.
Okay. Because, right, that's what I was trying to say before. It was like, they did a good job of having us lean a little bit towards the Fireflies, given the the scenario that Fedra is placing people, the pressures that they're putting them under.
Well, and
underpaying them.
how often will we, especially Americans, right? How often will we as Americans be like,
Don't you talk that way about America. Anyway, go ahead.
be like, oh, a revolution? Yeah.
It's in our blood.
Yeah, I'm on their side. Like, yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, not my
It
blood.
is, yeah. But we do tend to always, we love an underdog, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, right, where's the turn? Where does Firefly look bad? Or when do they start looking bad? Well, I'm not even going to ask about it in the games, really, because maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But, yeah, where do they do a good job? Like, I'm going to bring this back to Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is so... I'm sorry. I'm watching this. I finally finished watching it, and they did such a good job of humanizing almost every single person on character in the anime, and talk about like who to side with, the world of ghouls or the world of humans. And now I feel like the bar is risen for me too. So like now I'm not sure if I'm a reliable source anymore on anything. Like, because The Walking Dead did a really good job of painting everybody in the gray or various shades of gray, let's say. And so...
I mean, they already kind of have with this, right? Like, Tess...
Starting to, yeah.
You can't take Tess for her word. Because she went back on her word. She said, I promise Joel won't hurt you. Immediately goes to tell Joel, I really want to jack this guy up. Let's go.
Right, but
right?
she does tell him to breathe, too. So, like, not go ham on him.
But it's for the battery. It's not for the protection of Robert. She doesn't care about him.
Right.
So it's like, she already went back on her word. Joel is a drug dealer.
Right.
Like already, Marlene's bombing everything. Like, already we're in gray territory here.
Well, and that's why
Ellie is really the only innocent.
Well, and then even she's kind of annoying. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's right. You're like, oh, she's, is she like, I mean, yeah, she's a complete innocent. She was taken against her will. But at the same time, like, okay, well, this lady has to keep reminding her, hey, don't do stupid shit. You won't get killed by people who don't know you. So there's like that Walking Dead brain. You're like, oh, bitch, don't do that. You're going to get shot. Bitch, you're gonna get bit. Like that whole thing. Oh, you're muted. So,
sorry, Frankie was whining.
But I kind of wanted to get to that because, okay, good that they're establishing the gray area. But I lost my thought. I did. It's reality.
Can we go back a little bit to these comments?
That's exactly. Do you want to read?
Yeah. So, okay, so Sharon D's internet keeps dropping out, unfortunately, and that's why she has not joined us back again. Tom says pleasant dreams of Joshua Jackson.
I didn't want
to
read
Crystal.
That one.
I'm leaving. Takira said we don't have a PS5, so we kind of have to do it this way. So Takira, it actually came out on PS3 originally, so it is on PS3 if you can find an old copy. So let me tell you, they are gone. I looked for like 2 weeks for a copy because we had sold ours.
Is it on Steam? Because I'd really like to play it.
Probably. Yeah, I would guess. And I'm playing it on PS4. So just so you guys know, I do not have a PS5. I do not have that kind of money. I'm couponing. Do I really have that kind of money? Anyway, Sharon D says, I also love how video game-ish they made it look in several places. It was dead on. It was dead on in certain places. It was really cool to see. Reminded me a lot of how there were scenes of The Walking Dead that looked like comic book panels. Like when Glenn finds the walkers in the barn in season 2. There's this shot of his face, like of shock, and it's a comic panel. Mm-hmm. And it was in the comic. So
as far as the show goes, there were some pretty cool shot for shots from the game to the screen.
Yeah. Tagira says she was impressed by the shot for shot stuff. The words Joel was saying to Sarah while she died were the same. That is true. There were a lot of those lines. Same with the how did you get the money for the watch?
Oh, okay. I stole it
And
from
she's
you.
like, no, I
'cause-
sell drugs. I sell hardcore drugs. That is line for line. That was dialogue in the game.
Well, and of course, parallels, by the way. If you want to go parallels, he ends up selling drugs. Joel in the
Oh, right.
future to get what
So
he needs.
weird. So
There you go.
weird. Lois said it's weird how he used some of Daryl's lines. He told his daughter to don't look, just look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sharon D says that's why we live way out in the country on the side of a mountain is because she does not want people coming to her at the end of the world.
The better to toss you off a cliff. Lois says that's why most of them are. They got to hook you, so they got to buy the next. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Because we're talking about the shots for shots. We're talking about the delayed gratification, the bearing the lead. Not very well, but to keep watching to see if that's really true. 55 minutes in, still no Ellie. Right.
So my timing isn't that off. There we go. All right, great. I wasn't as bad as I thought I was. Good.
How dare you diss the Animormon? No, she was The Walking Dead annoying. It's like, bitch, don't get bit. We're trying to save your life. Seen it today on eBay. Oh, The Last of Us on eBay? Yeah, it's possible if it's legit, right? Like, we might send you a bubble mailer with no game in it. Also Amazon. Okay, that might be a little bit more legit. If you take off Prime, you'll probably get a lot of results. Maybe.
Walking Dead Eternal asks if we watch Yellowstone, and I am literally watching Yellowstone right now. So
I
thank you for bringing it up.
I have to get
I'm
Peacock
obsessed
to watch it, and
I love it.
I'm
It's
still
great.
holding out hope that it fucking finally shows up in CBS All Access. Or is it Paramount Plus now?
It was on Paramount Plus.
Like when it first started, yeah.
Yeah.
It was on the Paramount website, actually. You could watch it for free with ads on Paramount's website. They're right from the jump, and then I lost the train on that. Just as one does when he works like an animal and
It's
covers
really
a
good.
podcast
It's
talking
really
about The
good.
Walking Dead. So, yeah. Of course I don't watch shit. Now I watch all the anime.
It's got 2 spin-offs now too, so two
Yeah.
spin-offs happened. Yeah, which is
A,
insane.
Prequel and then another prequel. They keep going back in time,
Yeah.
I think,
I'm on season 3 right now.
of the original series. Gotcha. But yeah, I don't know where to go from here. There was one thing I wanted to say, and that was I said the pandemic thing, and I said something to do with the gray area again, but it's in the League of Hope. For some reason, with Joel, there's this weird sense of, because the episode is called "When You're Lost in the Darkness, Look Towards the Light" or something like that, right?
When You're Lost in the Darkness is the
episode title, yes.
the episode title.
But in some places on the show, yes, "When You're Lost in the Darkness" is the only thing it says. But in some other places, like in yellow graffiti, they showed the whole quote, which is "Look towards the light."
You
Look
see
to
it on the
light.
walls in the game too. It's on the walls. It was identical.
Right. So when I say that, there's this weird. You go through the game and you go through the game. You go through the show and you're trying to understand why Joel is doing what he's doing, and then it eventually is revealed that it's for Tommy, because it's the only person in his life that he knows personally that is left, and he's not going to let it go down the way it did Sarah, right? But you don't know that initially. You're like, why is this guy so full of hope? Everything sucks. Everything's terrible. What's the deal? And so, but you do see that kind of everywhere. Everybody has this reason to be hopeful. Fireflies have Ellie, and they're hopeful for Ellie. They've abandoned their plan to root out Fedra, and they're like, no, we got to keep them occupied so we could smuggle this last hope, because if Fedra, let's say, because this is my assumption, let's say if Fedra gets a hold of Ellie, they'll use it for their purposes. No, we got to get her to the people so that the people can be, infection free. I'm just assuming, because
I'd be worried they just put her down, because it seems like
that's the way they want it.
yeah.
They like their system. Interesting. I didn't think of it that way.
Well, I just don't think you'd get to anyone higher up, because you'd get put down by the first soldier that finds you.
Oh, because
that's
of
their
her
protocol.
infection. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would even say to the point where my first thought was if they had found her, and yes, she'd be infected, but no, she would tell them, no, but I've been sick, and like I'm not sick, and I'm not, I'm getting better. Well, they would use her to decide or to discriminate between who gets the cure and who doesn't get the cure.
Well, it's the whole like classic like
Right.
dystopian novel situation,
Trope,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah, like someone is the cure, and
Power
then
corrupts,
they're taken by
absolutely.
scientists, and then they're tested, and like it's like, and then maybe all of their blood has to be used to create a limited amount of cures. That's usually what it
Damn.
is,
Right.
right? Like,
And she'll die anyway. You know,
Mm-hmm.
do it. Yeah, she might as well die giving us all the cure, and then we get to decide who gets the cure. So yeah, so right now we're in the side of the Fireflies for now until something changes. Maybe.
I mean, I'm on Joel's side, so
well, immediately, right?
right, yeah, I'm on Joel's side, so, and he's not really with the Fireflies. He's just doing this to do what he needs to for family, which
Right.
like that speaks my language, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, even from the jump, like not taking passengers in the car, you get that instant like Walking Dead feeling. Like, okay, it's got to be about us. And I did like, of course, I don't like that as a person, but I get it because I watched The Walking Dead. So it's like, oh, you're right.
yeah, and it's that is exactly the line in the game too. Is the someone else will come along.
Right. Meanwhile,
Which
it's like,
I love, because all you're doing is like you're lying
to yourself,
to say
to somebody else.
you're lying to yourself, but you're lying essentially so that your daughter doesn't feel bad about the fact that you are leaving them to die, but it's because she's more important than someone you've never met.
Right. You're basically trying to unwrite everything she's ever learned growing up,
Yeah.
and you're doing your best. Oh man, and watching. Okay, this is crazy because I didn't. Your head knows that Sarah's going to die, but you're like, as Joel's trying to save her, and Sarah's like, ow, 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 ow. Like she's in pain. You're like thinking, oh, she'll get through this. Like it was just this weird the way they played that scene out.
The Band-Aid, it's the Band-Aid thing.
No, but
too.
she's like literally saying
She's
things.
fine, right? She's fine.
Which it breaks the trope, right? She's reacting to him picking her up, and like, oh wait, she's not dead. Oh wait, maybe she lives. I think no, and then all of a sudden she goes lifeless, and it's like, what? Wow. Because it's good to break tropes, and I hope they do that more often too, and I hope they do some more misdirection too. I haven't watched Yellowstone yet. It's a really good show. Mayans, Ellie came.
Oh, Lois brought up something really cool. I wonder what the woman in the watch shop knew, because nothing really had started happening. Yeah, that was interesting. So that made me think, because she spoke in
Arabic, which
Arabic?
I do. She's Lebanese.
because she was speaking in Arabic, I kind of figured maybe she had gotten contact from her family, because all of that stuff was going on in Jakarta.
Right.
And so it made me wonder, like, okay, well, did it start in other areas of the world, and they were informed by their family?
Yeah. So what she said was, in Arabic, she said, "Hey, are you even looking out there? It's crazy out there. What are you thinking? It's crazy out there. We have to close up." So what I think is she just heard all the stuff from the city. Essentially, she went into town to get that watch fixed. She didn't go into the city, to Austin proper. So essentially, yeah, she heard from somebody in the city. She didn't say as much, but she says, "Are you looking at things out there? Are you seeing the news? What are you thinking?" Says, "Shumt fikr." So like, what are you thinking? So yeah, so it's nice to actually have that little bit of like, oh, I know what she just said. Wonder what the woman to watch. Yeah, until the next day, watch shop knew. Well, not really. Oh, Sharon says.
She was trying to correct what she had said.
Okay.
Earlier, yeah.
Nacho all over again. Yeah, that's. I mean, not really, because with Nacho is like, okay, I know it's happening. I know it's happening. with Sarah, I was just like, my brain couldn't handle the obvious trope of, oh, he's gonna save her, and like knowing for a fact that she dies here, like my brain couldn't reconcile it. With Nacho, it was like, I knew from the very beginning of the episode, this is it, it's over. but it's just the agonizing watching of it happening. It's like the Titanic. You know the ship is going to sink. Now we're going to do like a Clockwork Orange, and we'll make you watch it all go down. With Sarah, just like my brain couldn't handle it. You know, it's like your brain has a logic error. It's like, oh, I've seen this 1,000 times before. He saves her, right? Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't. That's, the trouble with watching these shows is, yes, you're going to do a lot of Walking Dead comparisons, and I'm liking where it diverges. I'm liking that there's this show, though it does feel like people are beaten down. I do feel like, in some senses, Joel has more hope or more determination than most people on The Walking Dead. Period. Mm-hmm. Like, Team Family does occasionally have, like, a driving force, like, we're going to beat them. Then season 7 comes around, and it's like, 2 whole seasons, and there's no reason for you to have unrealistic hope. And then season 9 comes around, and Michonne is like, no, we can take care of ourselves. Aaron, Jesus gets killed. He's like, yeah, maybe we should be safe behind walls. You're right, Michonne. I just watched that scene over again. Yeah, maybe we should keep to ourselves. We can take care of ourselves. Hilltop can take care of themselves. So like, there's like no unrealistic hope. But with Joel, it's like, I'm going to get to my family no matter what. And that's why I said to you guys, I'm like, if this sort of things happens, like, Joel makes me think that I can find you and I can come get you. And like, we'll all get in a car and we'll go on a road trip and find other people.
Well, this is the most realistic way for the zombie apocalypse to happen, right? Like, cordyceps are real.
Yeah.
This is a real thing.
It's a total real thing.
That science at the beginning was real.
Yeah.
So, I think that's why I enjoy the idea for this story. I just think it's based in something scientific and true, and I think that's really cool.
Like grounded, yeah.
Right, and also I think interesting choice to do this now, because now we've lived through a pandemic.
Right. They are obviously making illusions. The stay safe was said somewhere along the line. In the beginning, I think it was.
Yep, and just, I mean, take a look at how people acted during that. It wasn't great.
Yeah,
it wasn't great. So
I was gonna say, like, I would say more about that, but there's no connection to the show. But
no, there's not. But it's just like, it gives you kind of that. It gives you a different idea. Like, okay, like if this were to happen, like how do you find the people you need to find and
well, there's need to find and want to find also too. Like,
yeah.
I don't need to find you guys. It's what I want. It's what I want. It's what I need is resources. I need to survive. I need to going out of my way to Michigan and North Carolina. That is not smart.
No, we have to come up with a plan for where we would meet. Dave.
Okay, so you need to get your bug out bag first. See, you need to get your bug out bag. Then, once you're settled, you can want to find us.
Great. Okay. Well, I'll work on that, and then I'll create the plan, and I'll tell you guys where you need to go.
Yeah.
And you better print off your MapQuest directions now.
They're all in the car, actually. I kept my first car. I kept all the maps, and I transferred them to this new car. Since maybe 97, actually. I have
awesome.
Every MapQuest and Google Map. It's mostly MapQuest. I'm not going to lie to you.
There you go. Great.
That I've ever printed out on my road trips, yeah.
My mountain compound. Sharon D, yeah, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
Sharon D says,
but I'll bring stuff. I'm worthwhile.
She's couponed a ton.
I don't have anything. Never mind. I don't have anything.
Yeah, basically leave Bridget alone.
Leave me alone. Just trust me. Just leave me alone.
Sharon D says, damn, science, you scary. Takira says, with me desperately looking for something similar to watch, I can't help but compare. And I said that in the beginning. Like, yeah, it's you can't avoid comparing. Just do your best not to set a bar that The Last of Us might not be able to meet.
Well, it's so different. I mean, there are similarities, but it is a completely different story. So we just have to give it time and like let it breathe before we're like, Joel isn't any Rick. Like, you just need to like give it time, see how it goes.
Oh yeah, Rick after a 20-year time jump too. Like, so he's obviously hardened. He's lost a lot.
And we haven't seen, like, we have not even seen really the zombies. Not really.
All right. It's
Tiny bit. You have to see a little tiny bit.
right. The initial outbreak. Oh, you know what?
But it wasn't much.
This is. I want to ask this question, but let me just read more comments. Check out Station 11. Sharon D says to everybody, but mostly to Kira. And Joel is Shane. I like this comment. Walking Dead Eternal says, "And Joel is Shane." I'm like, from the jump, he kind of gets it. No, it's a good comparison.
Yeah, that's fair.
On which platform? HBO. Yeah, Station 11. Right. Thanks, Sharon D. My mountain compound have room for the fam. No, you don't.
No, you don't,
Sharon. You don't.
We don't have room for anybody.
You don't have room for anybody.
And you have a lot of pew pews.
You mean guns?
No, don't say that on YouTube. They don't like it.
They don't like the word gun. We're talking about.
I don't
know.
Shh, pew pews.
Pew pews. You have a lot of kapow pows. No, but Sharon, you don't even have room to record without sound. You don't have room for us like on the floor. While Dennis watches TV really loudly. Oh, Joel's gonna bang Tommy's wife.
You better buckle up to watch some old TV shows, Dave, because you're gonna have to hear them.
Oh man, I thought it was bad.
You better bring your own tent because we're camping outside.
Yeah, on the cliffside, right? Anyway,
you're uninvited now, Dave.
Oh, there's more than one house, but you're uninvited. God damn it! I don't want to be in the crowded house anyway. Crowded house, another '80s band. Anyway.
Oh, Charity, that killed me.
What? I forgot what I was gonna say.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, how about this? Thank you for joining us for this episode, this live episode of our discussion of The Last of Us, called The Last of SQUAWKS. I've been your host, David Cameo. We're joined by Charity, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, a.k.a. Punky Brewster. ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PONKYBRUASETER. I don't know if we're going to be going live again. I think we might want to do a little bit more research, being the second sophomore episode of the series so far. We don't know if there's going to be a season 2. I hope there is. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I won't feel that way the next episode. Be like,
maybe we'll hate it.
Maybe we'll not like it, yeah. Which is why I wanted to go live, because as things go, we may not feel like taking notes or, be like, I'm not really liking this show. Maybe we'll abandon it. We don't know. But we'll see, because we've got a little while before other Walking Dead spinoffs come back, and we have to be opening. We have to be open to covering other things too, because, like, as time moves on, we don't know how long the universe is going to last, and we do want to hone in on shows that have that same vibe that we love. And as things go, and I've advocated this throughout our podcasting history, is that running across many Walking Dead fans, it's a little frustrating to see that that's their whole life, and there's so much cool shit that's out there that we know you'll love if you give it a chance. And I'm not trying to twist people's arms, but there are people out there who want that same vibe that The Walking Dead dishes out, that might be even better than The Walking Dead. Oh no, I've committed a cardinal sin. Yeah, there are things that are better than The Walking Dead out there.
How dare you, sir?
But let's just pretend
not season 1. Nothing is better than season 1, Dave.
Ooh, I have so many comments. One day we will cover season 1 of The Walking Dead, by the way, and there are so many comments that I have. After, obviously, hindsight's 2020. You get so far, and then you can make comments about the pilot and stuff like that. But anyway, Squawk of the Dragon, House of the Dragon. Takira says Tess is a psychopath. She is Rick.
Told you. She's a badass.
Yeah. And Joel is Shane. So Rick and Shane. Oh, the fanfic. Anyway, so...
Yikes.
So take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. And hopefully it's a good one. We'll be right here. So, by the way, let me just do the other things. I forgot to tell you, if you like what you heard, Obviously, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and an eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. But make sure to tell us after every episode. And if you want to know when we're recording next, because we may not go live, head on over to either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead and just follow. You don't have to buy us a coffee, which I might change to rations, by the way. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, instead of buying us a coffee,
I'd love
buy us a
that.
ration? I can do that. But yes, you don't have to buy us a coffee. All we need you to do is follow. It's where we post our recording schedules. So keep your eyes peeled there. We don't post them on social media. So look out for us next time, because we may do the pre-recordings. So without further ado, take care, everybody. I already signed off with our names. We'll see you in the next one, and I hope you enjoy it, because we're going to be talking about it. And if you don't enjoy it, well, you can come on the stream and tell us how much you hate us. Hate us? Well, hate us and also hate the show. So we'll be like, no, be nice. Anyway.
No,
see
we
ya.
won't.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
It's past midnight. We love you. Thank you. Take
Love
care.
you guys.
Disable comments? No. Stop broadcast.